All right, we are now joined by ESPN personality, the host of Monday Night Countdown ahead of Monday Night Footballs, Scott Van Pelt. You might know him as SVP. Thank you so much for making time for us today, Scott. We're excited for you to be a part of this broadcast for our big Vikings 49ers game on Monday.
It is a big one, and I appreciate you guys asking me. Happy to do it.
That's awesome. Well, let's dive right into things because I really want to get your opinion on how the Vikings did without Justin Jefferson this past week against the Bears. They haven't been without him since 2020, and so it was a huge deal to see the offense go out there without their main guy on first and second down. So what did you think of the Vikings offense this past week?
I mean, they probably don't win the game if their defense didn't get a scoop and score, right? So look, if you lose arguably the most impactful wide receiver in the game, and the numbers last year said he was the most impactful wide receiver in the game, you expect it to not be quite as good. Who would be? I mean, would the Bills be as good without Diggs? We could go through every great wide receiver. I don't want to bore folks with this, but I think Addison continuing to score is a great sign. He scored in a bunch of these games. I think he's got four. Is it four? I could be wrong, but that's what I thought. He scored a bunch, and so that's a good sign. And all that mattered is that you won. Let's just start with that, right? You won. You're 2-4. I'll get to that later if anyone cares what I think about where you fit in the grand scheme. But I expect the offense to struggle. I mean, Kirk drops back and it makes sense. Where's 18? Where's 18? Where's 18? Well, now he's not there. So it wasn't an offensive explosion. I didn't expect it to be. To me, it was a win the game, get out of Chicago, come back home, get ready for Monday night. They did that. So to me, that's really all that matters because it's the most bottom line league that we've got in American sports is the NFL. Win, doesn't matter what it looks like. They got that.
Yeah, that's right. They certainly did. It was great coming back with a victory and having that momentum going into Monday Night Football. But, we're joined by a friend?
That's Red, the dog. He's going to take his position there on the couch. You see there, he'll rest his head on the top of the couch. There are a lot of deer here.
Oh, great view.
Chipmunks, squirrels, foxes, all sorts of things. If he gets pissed off and starts barking, I apologize. I can't do anything about it.
No, I'm pretty sure all Vikings fans are dog lovers, so we're already big fans of Red. But in your previous answer, you did allude to where you see the Vikings fitting in all of this. Did you mean like within the NFC North? And if so, I'd love to hear your take.
Well, look at the NFC in totality, all right? Monday night, you host one of the 3 5-1 teams, right? You've got Philadelphia, Detroit, San Francisco. They've separated. And then there's only one other team at Dallas Cowboys who are 4-2. That's it. Those are the only 5-1 or 4-2 teams through 6 games. That's kind of surprising to me. You've got 8 teams, 8 who have either 3 or 2 wins. And so last year, Minnesota managed to win every one-score game, which made a lot of us in media think, all right, it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors. I don't know that they're great. They just keep winning games. That's all anyone wants you to do is win games. But can you keep pulling rabbits out of hats, right? And I remember it was funny I don't know if that's the right word. There was this one person on Twitter every Sunday night who would come at me and was furious because you hate the Vikings. Well, I don't hate the Vikings. Every fan of every team is convinced that we hate them. We hate their mama. We hate their dog. We hate their children. None of that is true. None of that. But Vikings fans were convinced, I think, that we as a network didn't believe in the Vikings. Well, kind of no, right? Like, remember that Colts game you guys won last year? You won it, but they weren't good, and you were behind by 1 million. Like, would a good team have been behind by 1 million? Probably not. This is all last year. The point being, you won every close game. This year, you've played 6. Everyone's been a one-score game, and you're 2-4. I don't know how you lost to the Chargers. Should have won that game, had those chances late. You're looking for flags. You probably should have got one, didn't. The Chiefs game was a coin flip game. What I'm saying here is I think you're a lot better than your record. And I think the way that the NFC is so bunched up in the middle, and considering you've got 5 games remaining in your division, you've only played one division opponent. It was Chicago last week. That's it. Backloaded with all your games with the Lions and the Packers late. Detroit's 2 of the last 3, I think it is. So you've got plenty of runway. I think last year, I didn't think you were as good as your record. Right now, I think you're better than your record. And Monday is a monstrous opportunity. against a team that's probably coming in pretty bummed out because of what happened in Cleveland, but they're also pretty banged up. So this is a giant opportunity, as was the last home game against Kansas City, against one of the big teams in the league, to get a massive win. Now in the NFL, they don't count more. It won't count more than the Bears win would, but I think in the minds of many, it might sort of change how people feel. I think Minnesota's better than their record if you can just hang on while Jefferson's out. Kirk's not going anywhere, not going to waive the no trade. There's plenty of runway. There really is. And I'm not trying to sell you sunshine. I really think this about Minnesota.
Yeah, it's sometimes hard to think that we're only 6 games into the season. There's so much more football
Right.
left to play, right? And I'm really,
Exactly.
So going back to the 49ers and their recent loss, did it show you, or what kind of weaknesses maybe that this Vikings offense can take advantage of, did you maybe see in that game that they played against the Browns?
Well, I mean, all right, Tatum, the question is this. Is McCaffrey playing and is Debo playing? Because clearly a guy who scored a touchdown in 15 straight games in your backfield, who's a weapon in the passing game, changes who you are offensively. And Debo is a Swiss Army knife, as the saying goes, right? You can hand him the football, you can throw him the football, and then I think he might be the toughest person in the NFL to tackle in the open field. So I think, I mean, so many of we don't do a great job being reasonable and nuanced, we being football fans, when it comes to a game, right? Purdy, oh, see, I told you Purdy was a system, this or that. Calm down. Cleveland's defense is insane. Purdy's without 2 huge difference makers on offense, and they still are a 41-yard field goal away from being 6-0 coming into your stadium. So I don't think your defense is as good as Cleveland's, because it's not. So I don't know if you can squeeze them offensively the way the Browns did. But I do think Kirk Cousins, with or without Justin Jefferson, is better than the Cleveland Browns offense with PJ Walker, all due respect. So I think the game feels like the game flow will probably be different, because I think you guys can score. That's where I'm looking at, is more, can you guys score on them, as opposed to you guys slowing them down. I don't think you're going to hold them to 17 points. I don't think that's going to be that kind of game. I think you need to win a game in the 20s. But I think you can get there.
I don't know if you know this, Scott, but the Vikings defense is blitzing 48% of the time on average. The NFL average as a league is 25%. So it's kind of a fun unit to watch go out there. How successful do you think blitzing as much as Brian Flores does? It was 70% last week against Justin Fields. Could make a difference in this one.
I mean, I think context is always important, right? So let's look at who you played. And you played, it makes sense to me that you'd blitz the hell out of Bryce Young, a rookie quarterback. I don't know. I'm looking at this now. You've actually played, you played Hurts, Herbert, and Mahomes. So that stat actually surprises me, that you're coming after those quarterbacks as much as you did, because they can hurt you in a big way. I mean, I think I happen to like blitzing. I mean, I'm a go big or go home kind of guy. I mean, you might get beat, but you got to get home to get to the quarterback in this league. You let a quarterback throw from a clean pocket where he can go through progressions, and I don't care who they are, they're going to beat you. But like, look at the way you won in Carolina. Like that's a game where you trail until what happens. You get a strip sack, a fumble recovery, and then Harrison Smith comes up huge twice in the last series, I think, and he blitzed twice that last series. Am I right? I think so. I know he had a monster game in that game. I like it philosophically. You're going to get beat some, but if I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose that way than playing in sort of just soft cover.
Well, it is going to be a really exciting game. I know the fans are excited to have Monday Night Football in our stadium. Night game in US Bank Stadium. Scott, you're going to have to come down here for one of those one time, because they really are just quite an epic atmosphere.
I'll say this just so your fans know. All my friends in the sport that cover it, Tarico and Buck and Nance, I don't know Al well enough to ask. We just don't know each other well. So I'm not excluding him from my friends list, but everybody raves about that stadium. And we don't do Monday Night Countdown, doesn't go to every game. I wish we did, because everyone says that's on the very, very top of the list of favorite stadiums they have in the NFL. I need to get there. So if you'll have me someday, I'll get there and we'll do this whole thing and the whole bit.
Oh yeah, the whole bit. Thank you so much. Yeah, we really appreciate you. Can't wait to watch you ahead of our big game on Monday night. Again, I feel like I really don't need to tag this one out, but it's SVP. You can watch him on ESPN. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Good luck Monday and beyond.
Thank you.